Mr. Seekers, we've all heard about the Madoff scheme. How did one person steal $57 billion?
Bernie Madoff was a clever individual who conspired over a 20-year period and created an allure to investors and people alike that he was some sort of elite member, and he created a club for special people. He preyed on people's greed and their egos.
How can we prevent something like this from happening again?
Hedge funds and other types of securities transactions should be treated no differently than the equities and public companies that we have. If you set limits by dollar amount of a type of investment that requires or triggers SEC securities, if you select a dollar amount to regulate the type of investment vehicle or any investment and take out the exceptions, we will then have an ability to regulate and prevent these types of occurrences again.
So do you think all securities should be regulated?
Absolutely. If you sell securities to public and advertise to sell public, we have blue sky laws now that create laws and require prospectuses for 9 or more investors. Most state laws have them. In this particular instance, Bernie Madoff, through his influence and through his power, was able to circumvent the state and federal security laws, and that cannot occur again.
Do you think there's another Bernie Madoff out there right now?
There are hundreds of Bernie Madoffs out there, unfortunately. That's why we need the state and federal regulation to curb them. More enhanced penalties, and also those who participate in these companies must be held accountable.
Mr. Seekers, we all know what happened in Arizona over the weekend. How does someone like Jared Lee Loughner get a gun?
Jared Lee Loughner got a gun because of loose gun control laws and the absence of gun control laws.
Do you think a national gun control law would prevent a Jared Lee Loughner from getting a gun in the future?
Clearly, the absence of a national gun control law and a cooling off period and a background check and an application for this particular individual led to this occurrence. If Jared Loughner had filled out an application and had a background check, he would not have been able to buy a weapon of this type and caliber. He was rejected from the Army, the United States Army, where weapons are used routinely. He was thrown out of college for threatening a teacher, a professor. And then he went into Walmart like he was buying a pack of gum or a toothbrush and purchased a Glock pistol with a 30-round clip sufficient to do harm to all those poor innocent people and kill 6 individuals senselessly. A national gun control law would have prevented this occurrence.
Mr. Seekers, do you think a clerk in a gun store should have the discretion to prevent somebody from buying a gun?
Absolutely. A clerk has to take out an application and then run the proper background checks, and if those checks come out to be positive, that person should not buy a gun.
You support national gun control law. Do you support state amendments to that law?
A natural evolution of any federal government statutes or laws is states' regulations and laws that apply to different circumstances and situations.
And how is it with the state of the economy, how are we going to pay for a national gun control law?
We are going to pay for a national gun control law because the cost of not having it would far outweigh the cost of having it. The senseless homicides and the prison terms that are included by individuals carrying out heinous acts, utilizing guns as weapons, is far more costly than any cost of creating a law.
Do you think the framers of the Constitution would imagine how many guns there are in this country today?
I think the framers of the Constitution would roll over in their graves if they knew what they've created. They never intended to do that. 250 years ago, we were concerned about a monarchy preventing us from having the ability to organize and have militias to rule us. This is not the situation today. We have evolved, and our laws have not.